Hello and welcome back to the Elite Takeover podcast, where we're going to go through your news and reviews for the weekly wrestling of this week. And of course, we are moving towards Elimination Chamber coming up this weekend, where we will be doing a standalone review for Elimination Chamber going up on Monday. But we will be doing our predictions today to decide who we think are going to be winning in that match. And of course, I am your host, Aiden, joined as always by
Raph.
And if you are listening to this podcast, make sure if you're listening on YouTube to give us a subscribe, like, comment, really helps us out, really does. And if you're listening on any of the major podcast apps that this is available on, make sure to subscribe on there, leave us a 5-star review. All of that really helps the growth of this podcast. But let's get things started with predictions for the Elimination Chamber coming up this weekend. So we'll start off with, well, there's a couple of matches here which are still confirmed. They're still like on the books on WWE.com, but probably there's a chance they may not happen the way they're supposed to happen or aren't going to happen at all, but we're still going to predict them with that in mind. I think is probably the best way to do it, because it's still confirmed on WWE.com, so we have to wait and see whether that's going to come together. But we'll start off with the Smackdown Elimination Chamber match, which is going to be Daniel Bryan, Cesaro, Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, Baron Corbin, and Kevin Owens. I forgot Kevin Owens. And the winner of this match will go on to face Roman Reigns after the match has taken place. It's not been, they have said immediately after at some points, but they've also said later in the night. So it's a little bit up in the air whether it's going to be straight away after the match or a little bit later in the night. But who do you think is going to walk out of the chamber to face Roman Reigns later in the night?
So go through the names again, sorry?
Kevin Owens, Daniel Bryan, Cesaro, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, Baron Corbin.
I think Kevin Owens.
Do you think they're going to give it to Kevin Owens again?
I'm not sure.
I think it's a difficult one, this one.
Yeah.
I think it's more difficult than you'd think, because
I mean, I'd love it to be Jey Uso and just...
I think Jey Uso would be a really interesting one for them to do. I think that'd be the most interesting, and then see...
Because it would just be so weird for him to go onto, to go and face Roman Reigns, and then he would just stand down for him. And
yeah, whether it would be he lies down begrudgingly, and then he's kicks out at 2 to be I don't want to do this, I don't want to lie down like this, and then has a little bit of a match, and then eventually does give up to Roman. Could be interesting if they did that storyline wise. Of course, Kevin Owens has kind of been the focal point, and obviously still with this feud with Roman Reigns, but he's do you really want to, are they really going to feed Kevin Owens to Roman Reigns again?
Yeah, that's the thing.
4th time now after they've had 3 matches where Kevin Owens has lost. Because
it'd also be nice for Daniel Bryan.
Daniel Bryan would be great, but then again, do you want to? But it, I think it's I think it's interesting. It's a bit of a difficult one to predict. But do you have your prediction?
I'm gonna just because I really want to see it. I want to say Jey Uso.
You want to say Jey Uso? Okay. Interesting. I think my prediction is going to be Cesaro. I think it's a bit of a... It's kind of left field, because I think Kevin Owens is the safe option. Yeah. But I feel like if they go with Cesaro, then he's going to gain a lot by being in that position. They're giving him a lot of push at the moment. He'll gain a lot by being in that position to go against Roman.
Even if he loses,
which he will.
Fine.
Yeah. It doesn't really matter if he loses or not. Yeah. And then that can also be Cesaro can then use that momentum to get himself a match at Fastlane, and that's a nice filler feud for Roman before he goes on to his WrestleMania opponent. Yeah. But of course, we also have to predict who is going to be the winner between Roman Reigns and, for me, Cesaro and you, Jey Uso. Who's going to win?
Roman Reigns.
Yeah, Roman Reigns.
Duh.
Obviously, Roman is going to keep his Universal Championship at this Sunday's Elimination Chamber. That seems very obvious indeed. Yeah. We have a triple threat match for the United States Championship between Keith Lee, Bobby Lashley, the United States champion, and Matt Riddle. There is a bit of scuttlebutt online about rumours. Scuttlebutt, that's a very English term.
Yes.
Sorry, that's a very English term.
I was like, what are you talking about?
There's been some rumours online that perhaps Keith Lee won't be a part of this match, but there's nothing being actually officially said. No one's actually kind of given any real reasons for this. It's just because Keith wasn't on Raw this week, so there's some rumours that perhaps he won't be there on Sunday, and it might just be a one-on-one match, but we're going to predict it as a triple threat. So what do you think? Who is going to pick up the United States champion, or who is going to retain the United States championship at Sunday?
I think Bobby Lashley's going to retain.
Yeah.
Even though I really want Keith Lee to win, but he's doing a good job with the championship so far. And then they can, what's the next pay-per-view?
Fastlane.
Then they could finally do like a one-on-one match between Keith Lee and Bobby Lashley. Lashley, sorry.
That's what we call Bobby in our personal time. We call him Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, so I think Bobby Lashley is still gonna retain.
Yeah.
I think.
I don't think it matters whether it's a triple threat or a singles match.
Exactly.
Matt Riddle's eating the pin. Well, he's eating the submission, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Bobby Lashley retains. Keith Lee, if Keith Lee's in the match, he'll be taken out on the outside.
Yeah.
Maybe some interference from the Hurt Business to keep him from being able to get this. And I think the smart move, the money move is to build this to Mania, and then you have Keith Lee win the belt at Mania. Like it's a big hoss fight between those two, and that'd be really exciting to see Keith Lee and Bobby Lashley really going at it, and then maybe a far, even like realistically, the US Championship probably just won't be defended at Fastlane.
Yeah.
Or they could do a fun like 6-man tag thing where you could do like Keith and the New Day versus Hurt Business.
Yeah.
That could be fun.
Yeah.
Just to wait, because those Raw tag titles are kind of being a bit lost since Cedric and Shelton have won them. Be nice to get them a little bit more involved. But yeah, so that one. So we have the Raw Women's Championship match, which was supposed to be Asuka versus Lacey Evans. We'll get into why it's not later on in the card. Later on in the video. The podcast, all the things, you know what I mean. But it is incredibly unlikely that Lacey Evans is going to be in this match since she is pregnant.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be happening, but it is still being advertised. So we don't know whether there's going to be... Potentially Asuka will come out on Sunday and be like, I don't have an opponent, give me an opponent, and we'll have an opponent for her.
Yeah.
But let's just make a prediction. Do you think Asuka will still have the Raw Women's Championship going out of Elimination Chamber?
Yes. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to tell. I think... Cause
as in after, like, whoever wins the Elimination Chamber?
There is no Women's Elimination Chamber.
Okay.
No, I just mean, will she still have the championship? Because if she has a match at Elimination Chamber for the Raw Women's Championship, will she still be walking out with the belt, or will she lose it to whoever she faces?
I think she's going to keep it.
Okay.
I think. I'm not sure. Unless they have a really nice opponent against her.
I don't...
Like,
I kind of...
I don't know.
I'm torn on this. Very, the safe bet is just to say Asuka's still going to have her belt and blah, blah, blah. Because they didn't know this was going to happen. Mm-hmm. But it was kind of it seemed very obvious that perhaps Lacey was going to win the title and go on to face Charlotte.
Yes.
It kind of seemed that way. It depends, because because obviously Peyton's been teaming with Lacey recently. Yeah. They could just have Peyton Royce versus Asuka, which then there's no chance that Peyton's going to win. But if you were to go and have a surprise opponent, if you had a Rhea Ripley or you had a Charlotte come out and face her instead, there is no chance Asuka's leaving with that title.
Yeah, exactly.
Because let's be realistic, it's feeling more and more unlikely that Asuka's going to have that title at WrestleMania, or be doing anything significant at WrestleMania with the way they've been treating her. I'm going to make the prediction that this will only count if she actually has a match. I'm going to say that she loses her title if she has a match.
Fair.
So this prediction will only take place if there is a match. So announced on Smackdown last night, due to the shenanigans, which we'll get into later, there is now a women's tag team championship match on the card, which is going to be Shayna and Nia Jax taking on Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair for those women's tag team championships. Who do you think is going to keep those championships or win them? Oh,
that's difficult then, because obviously NXT girls. No, I'm gonna go with Shayna and Nia, because they went to NXT.
There's no
this week anyway.
The feud's built. I know NXT doesn't matter to the main roster, but the feud's built. You're not going to change it, and no, it doesn't make sense for this match to happen. Because originally, it was quite a late edition as well. Apparently, it was reported that earlier in the day on Friday, they were planning to add because Naomi and Lana are technically the number one contenders. They're planning on adding that match to Elimination Chamber, but now we have this weird Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair match instead. And I just see... We'll get into it later, because obviously we had a lot of stuff connected with Reginald on SmackDown, and I feel like it's just going to lead to maybe like Carmella getting involved, or Reginald accidentally screwing it up for them, or whatever. There's going to be some reason why there's going to be some cheating that means that Shayna and Nia are going to get the win without getting a pinfall victory over Sasha and Bianca, obviously. Yeah. And then for what I believe is going to be the main event, we have the Raw Elimination Chamber. We have Drew McIntyre defending against Kofi Kingston, Randy Orton, AJ Styles, Jeff Hardy, and the man who will be coming out last, Sheamus.
I think Sheamus is going to win the Elimination Chamber match.
You think he's going to be the new WWE champion?
No, I thought Drew is in the match.
Yes.
Sorry.
Isn't the SmackDown one Roman's not in, but Drew's in the Raw one?
I think the very last ones are going to be Sheamus and Drew.
Yes. And
Drew's going to keep the title, but they're going to keep building this feud of Sheamus and Drew. Yeah. Yeah.
I think Drew's going to win. I think essentially, because obviously on Raw, we had the Gauntlet match we'll talk about a bit later, where Sheamus ends up winning to get the 6th position. He pinned Drew McIntyre to get that. And I feel like that was Sheamus's win. Drew's going to get the win on Sunday, and then maybe we'll have a match at Fastlane. But well, to be fair, this may even stretch to WrestleMania. We still have no idea what's going on with the WWE Championship for WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But yes, let's move on to some of the news quickly. We'll touch on it briefly this week. We won't go too long, so we've already gone quite a long time with our predictions. Remember, we will be back on Monday with our Elimination Chamber review. But going through some of the news, we did have a report on 4 WrestleMania matches that are apparently in place. The rest of the card is pretty much still up in the air, apparently. But the matches that apparently are pretty much in place, still subject to change, obviously, are Roman Reigns versus Edge for the Universal Championship.
Fair.
Bianca versus Banks.
Nice.
The tag team match with Bad Bunny, Miz and Morrison and Damian Priest, you'd have to assume. And then Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton.
Yeah.
So it's all stuff that's pretty much been built over TV, and it all makes sense. Yeah, it's very much what you'd expect. The Edge thing is the only one that potentially it could be a little bit of a surprise there, but they're very clearly building towards it, and they built towards it a lot on SmackDown this week with Edge and Reigns, which we'll talk about a bit later. But yeah, would you be excited for those matches so far?
Yeah, they seem pretty much, as you were saying, a bit obvious, not very surprising, but they are exciting matches.
Yeah, it's a good card so far. I'm pretty excited by that. The only thing that I think is surprising is the fact that, from the report by Russell Votes, there still is no WWE Championship match decided for the show.
Yeah,
which is kind of crazy to me. It's your second biggest. It should be your biggest title alongside the Universal Championship, but it is your second biggest title right now. Drew McIntyre's done such amazing work.
Exactly.
Yeah, it worries me they haven't got the match decided yet, but I'm sure Drew will get something great at Mania and he'll walk in there with that belt, whether it be Sheamus or something else. Yeah. It's just perhaps a little bit more difficult because they haven't got that many good main event opponents on Raw at the moment. Well, Drew's beating all of them, to be honest. We also had some news from the AEW side of things, where there was supposed to be a AEW star going over to Impact Wrestling yet again, but it did not work out. So after Sammy Guevara last week leaving the Inner Circle, we got the little clip of him outside the building being like, I need time off, I'm leaving, I'm going away. So apparently what this was supposed to lead to was Sammy Guevara going over to Impact Wrestling for a few weeks, doing some stuff over there. But what happened was Sammy was on his way over. The creative had been kind of agreed on, kind of fought over a little bit, but agreed on. And then apparently Sammy had some issues with the creative, and so did Impact. This was the initial report, and then he was told to go home and not do it.
Yeah.
But we got an update to this report, which was that the actual the idea that was pitched to Impact originally was for Sammy Guevara to come in, win the X Division Championship, and then go back to AEW and never lose the championship. He was just going to give it up. And apparently Impact had some issues with that. They weren't entirely happy with that. Apparently all the the issues between AEW and Impact are now all evened out and there's no issues anymore. But it's a bit ridiculous to go and be like, we're going to send one of our guys over there. He's going to take one of your mid-card title and he's never going to lose it.
Yeah.
Well, he's just he'd have to give it up. But it's just like, he's never going to lose. That's not the point. It's supposed to make both brands look good.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Bit of a weird one there. There was lots of conflicting reports about it, about Jericho and Tony Khan being involved in it a lot more, and no one could really confirm that stuff. But yeah, the essential idea was that Sam was supposed to go over to Impact. Things got nixed due to bad creative and creative not being agreed upon. Sammy was sent home and he's not doing it anymore. So it's all fair enough, and I think that's pretty fair.
Yeah.
Talking about Impact, we did have New Japan coming over to Impact on this past week. We had David Finlay and Juice Robinson coming over. It's very exciting to see those guys. Hopefully there's going to be more good stuff for Impact going forwards. And lastly, second to last, WWE is currently in a signing spree. They are signing up each and everyone yet again, even though we're still in the middle of a pandemic and they're still doing pay cuts and they're still let go of loads of people last year and blah, 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 blah. It kind of all rings a little bit icky, but they are on a big spree of signing people. Signing Eli Drake, who obviously appeared as LA Knight at NXT Takeover Day, Takeover Day, NXT Takeover Day Vengeance, NXT Takeover Vengeance Day. They reportedly signed Taya Valkyrie, of course, from Impact, John Morrison's wife / partner. I don't know if they're married. I assume they are because they're a bit old. Sorry, that's a bit presumptuous there, but hey ho. They've also apparently signed Blake Christian, Christian Casanova, Millie McKenzie and others, and apparently this is all supposed to be announced properly next week with their biggest ever NXT signing picture thing that they like to do. And apparently it's also going to have the biggest amount of women they've had in it for a long time, ever, I think, which is good. But it's like they don't need to sign all these people. They have such a bloated roster already. You don't need all these millions of people on your roster.
Yeah, bring women.
I'm glad to see. I'm glad to see these people getting jobs.
Of course.
I'm glad people are getting paid. People are getting jobs. That's great. It just rings a little bit iffy, and we'll see. Hopefully they'll use these people. Yeah. Hopefully they will. I actually forgot there's actually a lot more news to talk about. We also had some more stuff with the WWE essentially controlling people with their Twitters and their social medias. WWE made a big point of saying that basically any third party, nothing third party is allowed on anyone's social media, whether that be advertising, whether that be charities, all this kind of stuff. And it caused a bit of a ruckus early in the week. People were not very happy about this because obviously, like, a lot of the WWE superstars do great stuff for charity. We have Sammy for Syria, all these kind of things. But there was a bit of a clarification later in the week that like stuff like Sammy for Syria and like charity stuff is fine. It's just when people are getting payments for it, essentially. But it still sucks. It's like these guys are independent contractors, and you're completely taking away every single bit of them being independent. Like,
especially because even if they use their real name on social media, they still can't do it.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not like WWE owns your own identity. They own your superstar.
Yeah.
They don't own you.
You look at like Alexa, for example. Alexa's Twitter's all Lexi Kaufman.
Yeah, exactly.
But she wouldn't be able to do any of this stuff. And obviously some people's names are just the names they have in the WWE.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous, the idea that they're just like, yeah, so you're going to be an independent contractor, so we don't have to give you any health insurance or anything like that. But you don't get any of the benefits of being full-time employed like everyone else who works for WWE. But we own you. You can't do a single little thing. You can't earn any money outside of WWE.
You can't have Twitch. You can't do charity things that you get paid a little bit extra.
Yeah, it's silly. It's silly. It's really, really silly. And yeah, it's not good. And some like eventually, I know we already had like Thea Trinidad like standing up for herself, and then getting released and actually doing lots of stuff on Twitch. But eventually, this is going to explode a little bit.
Yeah.
eventually, I'm not saying it's going to be like we're going to get a union. That would be great if they were unionized, if the wrestlers unionized, but that's not going to happen. But if the WWE keeps up with this kind of stuff, there is eventually going to be some kind of pushback.
There's going to get to a point that they're going to say enough is enough.
Yeah, there's going to be some pushback from the wrestlers, and we'll see. We'll see going down the line, but it's really not the best business etiquette from the WWE. Speaking of the WWE expanding into new things, we could soon be getting a new NXT. We could be getting NXT Evolve, essentially using the bones of Evolve Wrestling, which kind of used to be NXT, the feeder to NXT, basically. And they'd send some guys down there to do some work. But basically, NXT Evolve pretty much would just be having those guys that came from Evolve getting some TV time, pretty much, and getting some newer guys some more TV time. And it'll just be a network exclusive. Apparently, they've already filmed a pilot for this, and it's all ready to go, pretty much. So that'll be interesting when that ends up happening. And then finally, Lacey Evans, as I mentioned earlier, Lacey Evans announced that she is pregnant, which is great news to her. Congratulations to Lacey Evans. Hopefully it all goes well for her.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this caused quite a bit of kerfuffle backstage on Raw. She told them backstage on Raw, apparently on the day of the of Monday Night Raw, that she was pregnant. Well, I assume she didn't really know before.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like her fault.
No, she probably told them when she knew. It's not her fault in the slightest. Hence why she announced they had the very odd segment on Monday Night Raw with her announcing her pregnancy. But good luck to Lacey Evans and best for her, and congratulations, of course.
Congratulations.
Right, let's go and get started with our review of Monday Night Raw. Things started off with Miz TV. Drew McIntyre came down for Miz TV. The Miz just kept interrupting him. It was very typical Miz TV to start off with, and we got exactly the same thing that we've had before with Drew. It's impressive when he just tosses the Money in the Bank briefcase like he did before, tossing it all the way to the top of the ramp. But yeah, he headbutts Miz with the Glasgow Kiss and leaves. And then Miz kind of goes into his serious mode and does a promo saying that he's not going to be in the Elimination Chamber anymore. He doesn't need to be. He already has an opportunity at the WWE Championship.
Fair.
Fine stuff from the Miz there. It made sense to take him out of it, at least, because he didn't need to be in the match. It kind of would have just been it's not like he was going to win. So
yeah, exactly.
It's kind of nice to have someone else in the match. So it made sense. Next up, we had Riddle ahead of the US title match, teaming up with the Lucha House Party to take on the Hurt Business, MVP, Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin, with Bobby Lashley watching backstage. The match was fine, nothing particularly interesting in this one. Apparently MVP did get injured during this match, got some kind of knee injury, but we do not know the exact details yet. We know he got an MRI. But
weird pairing they did of Riddle and Lucha House Party.
They've done it a few times on Raw in the past. It's just because it's silly now, but they were like feuding a little bit Lucha House Party for those Raw tag titles.
I'm not saying that it's like not funny. It's just I wouldn't expect Riddle to be with Lucha House Party. That's the only thing. Yeah. It's funny.
Riddle's a mess on Raw at the moment. He's just a stoner. He's just a stoner. That's all his character is. He's just a stoner who says some funny things backstage that don't make sense anymore, and losing to Bobby Lashley. This is apparently I think it's the 13th time that he has been in the match with the Hurt Business since November.
Oh, wow.
Or something silly like that.
Wow.
It's ridiculous.
And we're going to have him again
on Sunday. And of course, it won't stop. It's never going to stop. Riddle's going to keep fighting him until he doesn't win that United States Championship.
Yeah.
It's really weird. This has kind of just been the thing with the Hurt Business. They just fight the same people over and over again.
That's the thing I was going to say. They always fight the same people.
Yeah, because originally it was Apollo Crews. They did that for ages. Ricochet, they did that for a while. Mustafa Ali, they did that for a while.
Retribution, didn't they?
Retribution for a while. Yeah. And the New Day, and they just did all these like that. That's been the last since June, July last year. Yeah. That's been all the matches of her business, basically. Apart from the one time where Bobby Lashley faced Sami Zayn, that's basically been it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Matt Riddle gets the victory in this match. But then after the match, Lashley comes out, taking them all out, locking in the Hurt Lock, and of course, Matt Riddle taken out. Bobby Lashley looking strong going forward. They've done a great job with Lashley, to be fair. Lashley is great, and I hope for him that, like, after all of this stuff, he does get pushed up the card.
Yeah.
He should be. I think he should. He definitely should be. Once he loses that US title belt, get him in a position where he could potentially be WWE champion, because like his match with McIntyre last year was really good.
Yeah, it was really good.
It was really good. I really enjoyed that match.
Yeah.
And I would be happy to see that again. It's been such a long time since then.
Yeah, for sure.
Like post WrestleMania, I'd like to see that. We go backstage and we see Akira Tozawa winning the 24/7 championship, pinning R-Truth. Mm-hmm. We have Bad Bunny's back there, having a little flirt with Mandy Rose.
Of course he
is. And his boy Damian Priest comes in. And then Bad Bunny, I can't remember exactly how this happened. Akira Tozawa was just on the floor for some reason. I think he like ran into something or something. I can't remember. But he was just on the floor, so Bad Bunny just climbs on top. Damian Priest is like, go on, pin him, boy, pin him. And then he gets on top of him, pins him. 24/7 champion, celebrates with Damian Priest and Mandy Rose.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Yeah, it's fine. It's good advertising for them because Bad Bunny, major star, and he's appearing on SNL this week, so it's good advertising for WWE with the weird green 24/7 belt. That's still a thing for some reason. Hey ho. We hear backstage we have Adam Pearce having a discussion between pardon me. We have Adam Pearce backstage mediating a discussion between Kofi Kingston and The Miz, where The Miz wants to have John Morrison take his place in the Elimination Chamber match, but Kofi wants to go into the match because the match is all past WWE champions in this match. So Kofi's like, I'm a past WWE champion, why aren't I in this match? And Miz is like, well, I want Morrison in this match. And Kofi's like, well, he ain't being a WWE champion. And Miz is like, no, but he's being an ECW champion. That's just as important. So they book a match where it's going to be Miz versus Kofi Kingston. Whoever wins gets themselves or their buddy in the match for the Elimination Chamber to replace Miz. We move forward to the weird segment of the night. Charlotte and Asuka are supposed to be taking on Peyton Royce and Lacey Evans in the match. Lacey Evans cuts a quick promo beforehand, weirdly hyping up her match against Asuka.
No.
Didn't really make...
No.
Like, in retrospect, this segment makes no sense.
Yeah.
I am just like... We'll talk about the segment first, then we'll talk about it being really odd. So she cuts a promo before the match starts on Asuka, hyping up the Elimination Chamber match. We get into the match. Peyton Royce does all the action. Eventually, Peyton tries to get the tag to Lacey. Tags her. Lacey jumps off the apron and is like, no. Gets a microphone and is like, and then goes, no, you can't do this to me. You can't do it. I'm pregnant. To which Ric Flair kind of looks around for a second and then is like, woo, call me daddy. And he's very excited. And apparently Ric Flair and Lacey Evans got to it and Ric Flair is now the daddy. No, they didn't actually say that, so it's fine. It didn't say that. But then they just go to a close-up of Charlotte and the match never ends.
Yeah.
We see Charlotte's reaction of her disgust towards all of this. It's really odd. Like, it kind of feels like they booked this segment and had all the writing done for it, and then Lacey came in and was like, I'm pregnant. And then they went, okay, cool. So you're going to do exactly the same thing you were supposed to do.
But when it gets to
when you get to your tag and you were supposed to be in the match, just go and say you're pregnant.
Yeah.
It's really odd. It's really, really odd. You'd think they would have perhaps changed it and not hyped up the match with Asuka. But who knows what's going on with that? Because like I said earlier, they're still advertising the match on WWE.com. Even though it's been reported the match won't take place. And obviously it shouldn't because Lacey's pregnant. But
weird.
Yeah, it's really odd. So we have to see where that one goes going forwards. And Asuka, yet again, being a pawn in the storyline of someone else. Yay. We've got Kofi Kingston versus The Miz, a rematch from 2008, 2009, 2010, every single year. It was a fine match, pretty good match for these two. Kind of what you'd expect from Kofi and The Miz. Kofi got the big victory, getting himself to be in the Elimination Chamber and in the big Gauntlet main event for tonight. Kofi Kingston looking to make it Kofi Mania 2. Would you like to see Kofi Mania 2?
Not really, no.
After how his title
got snatched from him.
Yeah. Well, I just thought, I didn't think he did it. My opinion on the Kofi Kingston entire reign, I didn't necessarily enjoy it that much. And I don't think that was entirely his fault.
It was nice, but then it just kind of
it was just a lot of Randy Orton, a lot of boring matches. Sorry. We get a backstage promo with Randy Orton hyping up the Gauntlet match and the Elimination Chamber match, saying about how he's going to drop everyone with an RK, and then suddenly the world twists and distorts, and we see Alexa Bliss inside of the Funhouse backstage, and she is sitting inside of a pentagram, and ashes to ashes, dust to dust, he will be brought back to us. I actually made it fit, surprisingly, since I just said that. The Fiend starting to hype up the Fiend.
Coming back.
Making his return in whatever form he will return in. She is trying to bring him back from the dead.
Yeah.
Spooky stuff.
She looked really creepy, to be fair.
Yeah.
She looked very creepy.
Spooky stuff. Spooky stuff. Do you think we're going to see the Fiend at Elimination Chamber?
Maybe. Probably just Alexa.
Yeah.
I think for now, just Alexa.
Yeah. There was a cool theory that I heard on Wrestle Talk where they talked about the Randy Orton's pod going on fire. I think that would be so cool if they could do something like that. Like he can still be, because he can be safe. They can do something to make him safe in there, or it can be he's just left the pod and then it catches fire. Something to distract him, and then he gets eliminated. Because it has to be something to do with the Fiend and Alexa getting him eliminated from that match, really. So yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see what happens. It gives a bit more intrigue to that Elimination Chamber match going forward. We got Shayna Basil versus Lana. Thank goodness. One of those, because they're number one contenders. And the women's tag, they like doing the same people fighting the women's tag team titles every week until they get their match for the titles. That's what they do. But yeah, thank goodness Lana didn't win. Lana did manage to get a roll up near full, but Shayna Baszler managed to get in the carry through the clutch and got rid of her. Thank goodness. And then we moved into our huge main event Gauntlet match. I'm kind of done with the Gauntlet matches. They've done a lot of them over the last few years, and this one wasn't.
Is that the ones where, like, the person that wins the match goes and faces the next person in the match? Yeah. So whoever was going to be the last person standing was going to be number 6 in the Elimination Chamber, the last man to come out. We started things off with AJ and Kofi. AJ manages to ruin Kofi Mania 2 by eliminating him straight away in this match. But it all makes sense because obviously Kofi did have a match earlier in the night, so he was more tired. And then McIntyre was in. McIntyre went through everybody. Yeah. Killing everyone to that point. Got rid of AJ, got rid of Jeff. And then by the time we got to Randy Orton, Randy Orton was distracted by all of the screens in the arena turning to Alexa Bliss's face. And he got all scared and creeped out by all the spooky stuff going on. And then Randy Orton was eliminated. Sheamus and Drew McIntyre were the last ones left. Sheamus, his music plays, he jumps in from behind, jumps McIntyre from behind, and eventually manages to get the better of Drew McIntyre, catching him with a bro kick for the win, getting the clean victory over Drew McIntyre. One of the very few clean victories over Drew McIntyre. He's barely lost Drew. Seemed very good what they've done with him. And yeah, so Sheamus is now the last man to come out in the Elimination Chamber match. And it's all going to lead to Drew bettering Sheamus at the Chamber. Yeah. It all makes sense. It's good stuff, but it's I'm kind of done with it. They've done too many of these now. It kind of every year at this time, it's kind of Gauntlet match. But it was a fine episode of Monday Night Raw. Let's move on to AEW Dynamite. Let's go Dynamite.
We start things off with Hangman Page and Matt Hardy taking on the Hybrid 2. A pretty fun match. I always enjoy seeing TH2 out there.
Yeah.
I think they're really good.
They're really good.
They should. I'd like to see them doing more stuff, but at least they're on Dynamite now. They were off Dynamite for a long time during the pandemic, so at least they're back, getting some big matches, even though they're not getting wins, but they're getting matches, so it's fun. But Paige and Matt Hardy do end up getting the victory after a bit of shenanigans going on, and then Matt Hardy stealing the victory from Hangman Page. Hangman hits a big double buckshot lariat, and Matt Hardy jumps in and steals the pin for the team. Post-match, Matt Hardy, they talk about the contract that Hangman has signed, and Matt Hardy, big money Matt, is so happy that Hangman's going to be giving him 30% of all his earnings going forwards. But then Paige tells him the truth, tells him, wait a second though, did you read the contract that you signed? Did you read it? He's like, I need to get my legal team out here. Out comes one of the Jacksonville Jaguars mascots with the contract, and Hangman gives it to Matt Hardy to read. He reads it and he realizes that this isn't a talent contract. This is a match contract.
For Revolution.
I don't know how Matt Hardy didn't see it, because there's like a massive picture of Revolution at the top of it.
Yeah.
That bit didn't make much sense, but hey ho. Matt Hardy was too jealous and too greedy.
Yeah.
But if Hangman wins the match at Revolution, then he's going to get 100% of Matt Hardy's first quarter earnings. Matt Hardy, very upset with this, that Hangman Page would want to steal all of his money and take him out of home. He has so many kids, don't you know? He has so many kids. You can't steal his money. Hardy then asks Hangman if Hangman would do the same thing, if Hangman would put his first quarter money on the line as well, and Hangman agrees. And they're going to have a big money match at Revolution.
She's cool.
Yes.
Really cool.
And then Matt Hardy gets the mascot to attack Hangman Page, and it's revealed to be Isaiah Cassidy underneath the mascot's mask. And then Matt shouts out to TH2 on the floor saying, like, I'll pay you to beat him up. Come on, I'll pay you to beat him up. They all join in to beat him down until the Dark Order comes out to make the save. And Paige and the Dark Order had a little bit of a friends reunited, a little bit of a nod and a smile. And the Dark Order leave him alone in the ring. Fun stuff, really enjoyed it. I think it was a really good segment to build towards this match. Not necessarily I think they've done a good job to make this be an interesting match, because Hangman Page versus Matt Hardy on paper, I don't think that's that exciting a match.
Yeah. But having that stakes of taking your money. Yeah,
the money stakes and the way they built this. They built this really well to get to this point, and I'm excited for this match.
Yeah, same.
We got a recap of the tournament, the Japan side of the Eliminator tournament, of course, which happened on YouTube on Monday, which saw Yuka Sakazaki, Rio, I've forgotten her surname, I apologise, Aja Kong, and Emi Sakura, all picking up victories moving forward to the next round of the Eliminator tournament. But we have here on Dynamite, we have the return of Riho, making her return to Dynamite to take on the NWA Women's World Champion Serena Deeb. Again, not in the women's death slot on Dynamite, which is always nice to see. Always good to see that. Riho and Serena Deeb, and they had a really good match here.
Yeah, it was good. It
was nice to see Riho back.
Yeah.
It really helps to continue building up this women's division, having these kind of matches. It was a long old match as well, really long match. And they worked really well together. I think Serena Deeb's great. Yeah. She's really good.
She's so good.
It's bizarre to me that Serena Deeb is so talented, but she spent such a long amount of time just backstage training at WWE and not doing any actual wrestling. Yeah. It's like, she's so good, and she was kind of not wasting, because obviously she was training people, but you know what I mean.
But still, yeah.
Yeah, but the match ended with Riho managing to get a roll-up after reversing around at the end for an amount of pins. Riho moves forward in the Eliminator tournament to take on Thunder Rosa. That's going to be a great match.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for that match.
Yeah.
Apparently that is going to be on a special edition Oh, it's not going to be. It's not Dynamite. They're doing like a special. They announced today they're doing like a special show for free on Bleacher Report, where they're going to have this Thunder Rosa Riho match. I don't know whether anything else is going on, but it's going to be on Bleacher Report. It's going to be a special thing on there apparently. So it's nice to see a bit of spotlight on it, I guess. But it's like it's still not on Dynamite, so
yeah.
Hey ho. We got an incredibly quick match between Orange Cassidy and Luther. Very quick stuff here. Nothing.
Orange Cassidy winning. Really quick.
All you kind of expect from that one. Basically, nothing overly special.
Yeah.
Chuck Taylor killed Serpentico in the ring. He murdered him. It was very entertaining because then the referee and Orange Cassidy, they just turned around and were like, what happened in the ring?
Yeah.
What?
They just heard the noise, look back and...
Yeah. Chuck Taylor.
Chuck Taylor's just standing in the ring being like, what?
Yeah, I'll hitting the awful waffle on Serpentico. Yeah. But Orange Cassidy gets the win very quickly with an orange punch.
Yeah.
Weird to see no Miro or Kip Sabian out here.
Yeah, not showing up.
Bit odd.
Honeymoon.
Okay, whatever. But there's probably reasons why they weren't there. But it was a little bit odd to not have any follow-up. Probably the most surprising thing on Dynamite this week. We have Team Taz making their way to the ring. Only Taz, Cage, and
The Kiddo.
Hook. The Hook. The only people out there. They call out Sting because all over AEW socials, it's all been Sting's going to call out Team Taz, and it's like Team Taz. Don't you realise he's done this every single week?
Yeah.
Since he debuted 3 months ago, he's done this.
Yeah.
But it all changed this week. Sting came out with his baseball bat, and they were like, "Come on, put your baseball bat down. You don't need your baseball bat." And then, of course, Hook gets the baseball bat, starts hitting onto Sting, and eventually Sting eats a huge power bomb from Brian Cage, and Brian Cage did not go light on that power bomb in the slightest.
Which was really surprising.
Yeah, it's his first bump he's taken in 6 years. 2015 was when he was forced to retire because of Seth Rollins, and with another power bomb, strangely enough.
Well done, though.
Yeah, taking this huge power bomb from Cage, and
it's really nasty.
Yeah, it was a shocking moment. It was really good to see, and it shows that Sting is prepared to
come back.
Yeah,
and have a street fight.
Yeah, at least that match is now going to. I'm more excited for that match now. Seeing this, because now at least you know Taz Sting can take some bumps, and he's not going to be an issue. And but it was really good stuff. This one. We got the AEW Tag Team title match, Santana Ortiz versus the Young Bucks. These two really went at it. These two work really well together.
Yeah.
It's kind of a shame that Santana and Ortiz haven't been given as big a position as they probably should have been.
Yeah, I agree.
In Dynamite.
They're so good. Yeah. In and out the ring.
Yeah, they've always been great, and like they had that brilliant street fight, the backstage brawl thing they did with Best Friends. That was so good.
Yeah.
They've always been great, Santana and Ortiz, but it's kind of been a shame for them in the Inner Circle because then they kind of got overshadowed by Le Sex Gods at one point, and then they got overshadowed by Jericho and Hager at one point. Yeah, and now they're overshadowed by Jericho and MJF. It's a real shame for them because they should just be the tag team of the Inner Circle, and they should be doing great stuff. But hey ho, but it doesn't stop them having great matches. This was a really, really fun match here. A nice point where Santana managed to duck underneath the BTE trigger, and then Matt and Nick both kneed each other really hard.
Yes.
Really fun match. It looked like Santana Ortiz could have potentially been about to win. Yeah. They powerbomb Nick or Matt, I can't remember. I think they powerbomb Matt to the outside into the crowd. And then it was just Ortiz in the ring with Nick, but Nick managed to get this small package onto Ortiz, even though they had the 2-on-1 advantage at this point. Nick got the quick roll up to retain the championships. Ortiz very unhappy after the match. The Inner Circle will come in, beat down on the Bucks,
of course,
and they lock in the two submission moves. Jericho's Lion Tamer and MJF Soul of the Earth. The Young Bucks having to tap, but backstage we see Kenny Omega, Don Callis, and the club Gallows and Anderson. They're not the club anymore. I apologise. The Good Brothers. Backstage, and they're like, "Let's go! Come on, let's go!" And they're like, "Let's not go. Let's chill. Let's go." And they take forever. They take about 20 years. They take their time, their sweet time, on going down to the ring to go and help. Kenny doesn't even go, but Gallows and Anderson eventually make their way down to save. Eventually. Brandon Cutler came down to save straight away because he's a proper friend of the Bucks. But Anderson and Gallows take their time and eventually chase the heels off when they get down there after a long old time. But it's good to see. It's interesting to see the moving forward with this story. We got the weird off Dynamite segment with Kenny Omega in a school reading the Young Bucks book. It was funny. I'm not going to say it wasn't funny. It was just very odd.
Very odd.
With Kenny reading these little kids the Young Bucks book, but of course only reading the part about him because he's
him and the New Japan,
him and Jericho, and saying this is the moment that changed the industry.
Yeah.
And we had Alex Marvez there, of course, because he is the sneakiest journalist around. He appears whenever you least expect him. Mm-hmm. He appears out of nowhere. And where was he hiding in that school? But Kenny had to...
Yeah, it just sounded really creepy.
Yes, but it's true. He was hiding in that school somewhere, waiting to take Kenny Omega by surprise. Otherwise, Kenny would have seen him coming.
Yes.
They're all going to leave, and the kids are all like, "Oh, come on, don't leave us!" And like, you can play with Michael Nakazawa, and they all hate Michael Nakazawa, so all the kids beat up Michael Nakazawa. Yeah.
We hate Nakazawa.
We hate Nakazawa. We hate Nakazawa. It was funny. It was sweet.
Yeah.
The golf thing last week was more fun. That was funnier last week. But I do enjoy these little things, but not as good this week. We got Mike Seidel making his debut in a tag team match with his brother Matt, taking on FTR. It was basically just a match to put over FTR after their return from suspension.
Yeah.
They picked up the big victory, hitting their finisher. I've forgotten the move. I've forgotten the name of the move, my bad. But after the match, they go and take the doctor's bag from Doc Sampson and take out some scissors, teasing that they're going to cut off Mike's hair, just like they cut off the horns of Luchasaurus. But the lights went out, and we see on the screen, we see the mask with the horns cut out. And then we see the shadow of Luchasaurus. And then with horns. And then they all come out to the ring. Luchasaurus has his mask back, and they beat up on FTR.
It's a really nice mask.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
really
it's
nice
good mask. And they beat him up. Jungle Boy gets Harwood in the snare trap, and Luchasaurus destroys Wheeler. And we get the confirmation that we're going to get on the March 3rd edition of Dynamite. We're going to have FTR and Tully Blanchard taking on the entire Jurassic Express. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought that Tully Blanchard would be having a debut on Dynamite before Tessa Blanchard? Interesting. But yeah,
funny.
We'll see how that one goes in the future, but it should be a fun match. I assume Tully's just not going to get involved at all until they do their little 3-man finish thing. But we'll see going forwards. Then we had the main event. We had Eddie Kingston, the Butcher and the Blade, taking on Moxley, Ray Phoenix, and Lance Archer.
Great match.
Yeah, really fun match. Dynamite's kind of now just got a thing with having these superb tag team 6-man tag main event matches with just all of all the Death Triangle stuff.
It's so cool.
It's been great.
I really like it.
It's been superb. It's really helped give Lance Archer some proper. Not that he wasn't credible before, but it's made Lance Archer feel like give him like a fresher breath of air.
Especially as a face.
Yeah, especially as a face. Ray Phoenix is just superb.
Yeah.
Next week they're doing apologies. Before this happened, I forgot about this because I didn't write it down on my little recap thing. But we had Cody and Brandy announcing they're going to have a girl. It's a girl. But they also announced that at Revolution we're going to be having a Face of the Revolution ladder match.
Oh yeah.
Which so far we have Scorpio Sky, Cody, and Pentagon Jr. will be making his return. Penta El Zero M, I should say, making his return in that match. But next week on Dynamite, which I'm really excited for, that we're having Lance Archer taking on Ray Phoenix for a spot in that match.
Nice.
Which is really fun stuff.
Nice.
even though it's kind of odd that Cody, Scorpio Sky, and Penta just got put in this match.
Put in it, yeah.
But for some reason, Ray Phoenix and Lance Archer, the guys who have been like in the main event every single week, have to fight for it. It doesn't really make sense, especially like against Scorpio Sky. Scorpio Sky's not been around.
Kind of disappeared, yeah.
He's probably been on Dark doing stuff, but yeah. But it was a super fun match. Ray Phoenix was just incredible as per usual. And it's always good to see Moxley and Kingston together. Yeah. They had some great promos throughout the night as well. They're superb together, these two. Eddie Kingston and Moxley, they should just be career rivals. They're so good. But they managed to pick up the big win. Kenny, I apologise. Yeah. Spoilers. Jon Moxley hits Eddie Kingston with the paradigm shift to get the victory for his team. Post-match, the Good Brothers and Kenny Omega come down. The Good Brothers attack Moxley first, and then Kenny's music hits. He comes down and he lays down the challenge to Jon Moxley that in a singles match, it's not enough. He has to be able to get rid of Moxley. He has to deal with him once and for all. And he lays down the challenge for an exploding barbed wire death match.
Crazy.
Which is going to be ridiculous. Like,
I'm excited.
I'm excited. Really excited. I really enjoyed their lights out match. I know people didn't necessarily enjoy it that much. It was kind of very hit or miss, that match. It just depends on what kind of wrestling you like. Yeah. But I'm excited. I'm excited. These two, they're going to go crazy and it's going to be great. Kenny hit him with a V-trigger to end the show. Really good stuff, and I'm excited to see where we're going to go forwards. Obviously, we're very close to Revolution now, and we have the big March 3rd episode of Dynamite coming up with the Cody and Shaq match. There's a lot of stuff coming up, but we move on to the follow-up of NXT Takeover Vengeance Day. We start off the show, Kyle O'Reilly, middle of the ring, he wants to talk to Adam Cole. He wants to know why Cole did what he did. He's a very, very upset boy. And everyone else wants to have a word with Kyle O'Reilly, apart from Adam Cole. Yeah. So first out comes Roderick Strong. Roderick Strong is trying to apologise for Adam Cole, essentially. He's like, Adam didn't know what he was doing. He didn't mean to do it. It was just the adrenaline, I guess. The adrenaline of the situation got to him. Kyle gets in, like, Roddy stays on the outside of the ring. Kyle's in the middle of the ring. And Kyle essentially is like, Roddy, if you come in this ring, I will knock you down. I don't care right now. I just want to talk to Adam. I don't care. He doesn't trust Roderick, and he doesn't trust anyone else at the moment after what Adam Cole did to them on Sunday. Out comes Finn Balor after this, blaming Kyle O'Reilly for setting him up, saying that he shouldn't have taken the hand of Kyle O'Reilly. Kyle O'Reilly put his hand down, and after he accepted this hand, it ends up with Adam Cole kicking him in the face, and Finn Balor he blames himself for the fact that he took the hand of Kyle O'Reilly. He shouldn't have done that.
Broke the Undisputed Era.
He shouldn't have taken his hand, and then and then we get Pete Dunne, Oney Lorcan, and Danny Burch coming out, and they attack all of the guys, particularly focusing on Finn Balor. No Adam Cole appearance at the beginning of the show, but he might be there later. We get a quick backstage promo, because obviously we were supposed to have Santos Escobar, the Cruiserweight champion, going up one-on-one with Karrion Kross tonight. We got a backstage promo where William Regal shows a video of Santos Escobar, and Santos is in his car saying, "No, I'm going home. I don't care. I ain't doing this. I'm going home." Apparently the reason this match was pushed, so William Regal announces that the match will happen next week, and if it doesn't happen next week, he will strip Santos Escobar of the Cruiserweight Championship. Apparently the reason why this has been pushed, there was some kind of medical thing. Okay. But apparently they're confident that it'll all be fine by next week, so it can't be anything serious. So at least that's good to know. But instead, he announced we're having a 6-man tag team match as our main event. Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong, Finn Balor taking on Pete Dunne, Danny Burch, and Oney Lorcan in our main event. We get a rematch from Dusty Rhodes tag team semi-final action. We get Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart taking on The Way. Johnny Gargano is out for commentary on this one. And they come out, they have flyers. They are looking for Austin Theory. They need to know what happened to Austin Theory. After he was kidnapped and disappeared at Vengeance Day. But during this match, the main storyline are going on here. They had a good match in the ring. That's not really the important thing for this one, really, let's be honest. While this is going on, we have a white van appears on the Titantron. It's driven up to the arena, and we see on the Titantron, Johnny Gargano sees it, gets distracted by it, and he decides to go and find out what's going on. The van is here. He recognises the van. It's the same van that Dexter Lumis had when he was doing the stuff with Cameron Grimes and Halloween Havoc. It's there. He goes out to go and see what's going on. The match continues in the ring. Really, it's lots of fun stuff between these guys. They're all really good at what they do. But then Johnny makes his grand return with Austin Theory by his side, tied up in his underwear, very happy. Candice LeRae, as soon as she sees that Austin Theory is back, gets out of the ring, runs over to go and hug and celebrate with Johnny and Austin, leading to Indy Hartwell getting rolled up in the ring. Of course. And Shotzi and Ember getting the big victory. But it doesn't matter, they don't care Hartwell. They all run up to go and be with Austin Theory, and they're very happy to have him back. He's alive and he's back with us. We get a little backstage. It wasn't backstage. It was in an airplane. We get an airplane segment with Pat McAfee saying that, just essentially going, "Yeah, I told you so. I told you that Adam Cole was a dick, and he was a dick. I told you. You all owe me an apology, you marks." Which was fun. Yeah. It's nice to see Pat McAfee. It'd be interesting when he eventually makes a return to TV. We got a really fun match between Isaiah Swerve Scott and Leon Ruff. Really good. Obviously, Leon Ruff has done some great stuff in NXT. And so Swerve's kind of in the middle of his heel turn, the moment becoming more and more angry. The match ends with Ruff managing to reverse a crucifix bomb into a surprise pinfall. And then after the match, Swerve is sitting there on the floor, kind of being like, "I can't believe I let this little kid beat me. I can't believe it." And then he gets tired and beats up Ruff after the match, and said he was tired of people like Leon Ruff getting opportunities when Isaiah Swerve Scott isn't getting any opportunities. Pretty good stuff. Continuing his storyline in NXT. I enjoyed the match. It was a lot of fun between these two guys. They have a lot of chemistry. So yeah, really fun stuff. We got Casey Catanzaro and Caden Carter taking on Aaliyah and Jessica Mia, the Robert Stone crew. Pretty much just a match to give Casey and Caden the win. Which is nice to see. Gives them against time in NXT still. Post-match, after what happened last week, Xia Li comes out and says that she is going to destroy Casey Catanzaro next week on NXT. Beats her up a little bit, basically. but yeah, we have the match for next week, Xia Li versus Casey Catanzaro. It's going to be interesting how that one goes. Pretty easily, it's going to be Xia Li kicking her head off, and that's going to be it. But it's good to get a bit more build for Xia Li and all the stuff going on there. Next up, this was really funny stuff. We got the presentation for the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic Trophy. Out come MSK first to celebrate their big win. They're just super excited, super excited, and so happy to be there. And as you'd expect, fun stuff from them. And then out comes, they announced they're going to have the title match on March 3rd. March 3rd is the big day for Dynamite and NXT coming up. And then out comes Dakota and Raquel. MSK do the thing where they sit on the ropes so that Dakota and Raquel can get in, being the gentlemen that they are. They go out to celebrate their victory, and pretty much straight away out comes Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax, the women's tag team champions. MSK once again. They separate the ropes for Shayna and Nia to come in.
Sweet.
Then these guys had quite a good promo between them. It's interesting to see, because I'd kind of forgotten about all this stuff. It's so interesting that Shayna and Dakota are back together, because back in the day, before Dakota was a bad guy, Shayna broke her arm
Oh, wow.
Like, the storyline was that Dakota was so terrified of Shayna Baszler, and Shayna broke her arm.
Oh, wow.
And Dakota could never get a victory over Shayna Baszler.
These could all change now.
Yeah, this could potentially.
Fingers crossed.
And we got Raquel and Nia going at it, and the segment ending with the good old reference to the old My Hole meme, with Raquel saying, I'm going to take one of these boots and I'm going to shove it so far up your hole that it's never going to come back out. But the best thing about this segment was MSK and Beth Phoenix. They all sat in the corner with popcorn, sitting in the ring ropes and getting absolutely like reacting crazy to everything going on there. It was
nice.
It was fun. I enjoyed this segment personally. I don't think it wasn't the best promo work ever, but it was fun. We got the same package of Cameron Grimes riding along in his Lamborghini and everything in the song.
All the money.
Yep. To the moon. And then at the end of it, though, this time he crashes his Lamborghini. Oh no. But who cares? He has so much money. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter for Cameron Grimes. He has all the money in the world. Earlier in the night, we had Kushida backstage talking about losing the NXT, coming short against Johnny Gargano. Bronson Reed came up to him and kind of was like, hey man, I'm also going to be going after that North American title soon. You had a great match on Sunday, but it'd be cool if we had a fight together, essentially. Then Malcolm Bivens comes out and issues a challenge to Kushida for his protege, Tyler Rust. They had a good match here. Rust kind of working over where Johnny Gargano had been working on Sunday. It was a really nice ending to this match. I thought that was the most clever thing. Rust got locked into the hoverboard lock, and before he could tap out or anything, Bivens called for the bell. He ended the match. He wasn't going to let his protege be tapped out. He wasn't going to let him get injured. He has money invested in Tyler Rust, and he's not going to let him get injured. It was really good stuff. Fun match between these two. Good to give Kushida a win, and good spotlight on Rust here. We got a little... we got LA Knight at his home, basically kind of the same promo we cut on Sunday, saying that he's already the hottest star in NXT. We get a quick debut of Zoe Stark on NXT. She's already had her tag team debut in the Dusty Rhodes Women's Tag Team Classic, but this was her singles debut. She looked good, really good in this match. Very much the typical squash for her to win. She had a cool finish, kind of like a GTS, but like a spinning GTS almost. Like she spun them into it. It was cool. She looked good. We got a promo for Karrion Kross and Scarlett saying that Santos Escobar, if you turn up next week, you're going to get my fist through the back of your head.
Nice.
And if you decide not to turn up next week, you're going to lose your Cruiserweight Championship. And you're also going to get my fist through the back of your head. It's good stuff. Pretty fine stuff. And then we get to our main event, Pete Dunne, Lorcan and Birch versus Balor, O'Reilly and Roddy Strong. It was a fun match, this. Kyle O'Reilly and Finn Balor they worked over Finn Balor quite a bit in terms of the injuries that he'd had from the Pete Dunne match because he wasn't still 100%. It all built up to the point where Lorcan was going to go and hit... who was getting the tag team title belt. No, he was getting the NXT title belt to hit one of the competitors to hit Finn Balor, I think it was, to take him out. But he manages to prevent this. The NXT title ends up in the ring. Roddy Strong gets rid of the other guys, and then he picks up the NXT title to give it to Finn Balor. Finn Balor, though, before he sees what's going on, does his Pele kick on instinct, taking out Roddy Strong. Roddy's been taken out, and then Adam Cole's like, oh no. Well, he doesn't really, I don't think he realised what's going on, really. But he goes up to go and try and finish the match, try and hit the coup de grace on whoever was in the ring. I can't remember. Doesn't really matter. But as he's going for the coup de grace, out comes a man in a hoodie and a black hoodie. It's Adam Cole. Adam Cole's here. He takes down Finn Balor, taking him down off the top, beating him up for a second. And then he takes attention to Kyle O'Reilly. Big super kick. Takes off the top of the steel steps. And then hits a massive suplex on Kyle O'Reilly onto the steel steps. Adam Cole, very happy with this. And then Pete Dunne picks up the victory over Finn Balor in the middle of the ring with the bitter end. And after the match happened, Cole then super kicked Balor post-match and then held up his NXT championship to end the night.
Oh no, that's a no.
Potentially a no-no, but we're not near to a pay-per-view or anything.
I know.
We're miles away from anything happening. But yes, typically a no-no. But yes, but it's really fun. This is a really fun match. Good way to move the storylines forwards. Really, the where does Roderick Strong stand and all this? O'Reilly getting taken out by Adam Cole, but also Adam Cole taking out Finn Balor, wanting the NXT championship back. I assume next week we're going to get a promo from Adam Cole to kind of explain what's going on, hopefully.
Yeah.
And yeah, that'd be really fun. There was a bit of controversy post this match, though. It's one of the people in the arena after the NXT cameras went off the air. There was they had Kyle O'Reilly selling this beatdown of Adam Cole, and they stretched him out because obviously they like to film these things and they put up on YouTube of what happened post match and stuff, and that's essentially what they were doing. Triple H came out to go and check on Kyle O'Reilly, but one of the fans in the arena brought into this too much, took a picture of it and put it online and said that Kyle O'Reilly was having a seizure post match, which got a lot of people to be very concerned because Kyle suffers from diabetes. And that was cause that's why he wasn't there for a lot of the pandemic stuff originally, because of his diabetes, and got a lot of people all worried and worked up, but it was just shooting a post-match angle for YouTube, and that's all it was. So yeah, Kyle O'Reilly's all fine. He's good. He's a good little boy. But yeah, it was a really fun NXT. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I'm building forward to that March 3rd edition. But finally, of course, last night we did have Smackdown. A very action-packed Smackdown this one was. Of course, the go-home show for Elimination Chamber. Edge makes his way out to start things off, cutting a promo about how he has 13 possible opponents at WrestleMania.
13?
Which is actually not true, because he actually has 14. But he's ignored Finn Balor. Poor Finn, because he's saying that he has 13 in terms of there's 6 in the Raw elimination, there's 6 in the Smackdown elimination, then there's Roman Reigns. But he's forgotten about Finn Balor. He's already decided that he's not fighting Finn Balor for the championship. Disappointing, Edge. He has 13 men that he can choose from, but out comes Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns making it very clear to Edge that if he wants the main event is Roman Reigns, you got to get the deserved main event that's supposed to be happening. And Edge is like, well, you're not going to be the main event without me. Yeah. And essentially, before we got very heated, they just staring. They got eye contact from each other. Out comes Sami Zayn. Sami essentially going, I'm going to be the person to main event WrestleMania. He gets his documentary crew to film him pointing at this WrestleMania sign because this is such an important moment. During this entire time, Edge and Roman Reigns do not stop staring at each other. They keep eye to eye constantly throughout this. Eventually, Jey Uso has enough of Sami Zayn talking nonsense, super kicks him, takes him out, and then Roman Reigns whispers something into Edge's ear before he leaves. Ooh. Interesting stuff. But throughout the night, we're just on this topic, it's really nice to see Edge Edge basically talked to a lot of people backstage over the night, setting up his potential 13 WrestleMania opponents. We had a chat with Kevin Owens, the potentiality of that being the WrestleMania main event. Ran into King Corbin backstage at one point. Corbin talking about the fact he was wearing a $30,000 suit. No, $10,000 suit and a $30,000 watch. Wow. And yeah, sure, Edge, you may have come up on SmackDown, but now SmackDown is my house, essentially. yeah, strangely enough, I don't think Baron Corbin versus Edge is going to be the main event of WrestleMania.
No.
Also, ran into Cesaro and Daniel Bryan as well. And talking about how Daniel Bryan was the superstar, one of the people who helped him to be able to come out of retirement in terms of giving him the inspiration to try and come out of retirement, because obviously Bryan did do that. It was really nice to see all this stuff backstage, and Edge, all these genuine dream matches that Edge could have, and hopefully will have down the line. The more I see Edge, the more I change my opinion on Edge. It's just because he's now on TV dealing with people who aren't Randy Orton.
Yeah,
it makes me so much more interested in him, and he's a very good promo. He's very good at what he does. We got the follow-up of the Apollo Crews angles with Big E. Big E is out on commentary for this match between Apollo Crews and Shinsuke Nakamura. Big E talking about how he is not going to be giving Apollo Crews a chance at the Intercontinental Championship. He has beaten Apollo 3 times now for that championship. That's in enough. 6 weeks or whatever. He's done it. He keeps bringing this up throughout it. It's really nice stuff. Crews and Shinsuke go at it during the ring. They get thrown into Big E on his sofa on the outside. But eventually Nakamura gets the roll-up victory over Apollo Crews.
Yay!
Apollo Crews, though, very, very unhappy post-match. He starts beating down on Shinsuke Nakamura. And then he goes to pick up the steel steps to go and take out Nakamura on the outside. But Big E gets up and gets in Apollo's face. Like, this is enough. This is enough. You've done enough here. We've had enough of this. Stop this right now. Apollo, he puts down the stairs, thinks about what he's doing. Big E goes over to go and check on Shinsuke Nakamura. Of course, Apollo then picks up the stairs, hits into the back of Big E. Apollo Crews gets into the ring with the steps. And this was so cool. He was I can't remember exactly how this worked, but this was the actual, I can't remember how this worked entirely, but the actual Apollo was essentially considering putting down the stairs and stopping what he was doing. He's in the ring with the stairs. Big E was on the floor outside of the ring, right next to the ring apron on the outside, on the far side where the camera can't see. And Apollo Crews had the stairs, and he's like, just put him down and stop this, put him down and stop this. And then he walks over to the ropes, has them over, says I should just drop these. Drops them onto the outside, onto Big E. Of course, you don't see Big E. It was
that's what you assume.
Genuinely a really cool spot.
Nice.
Super, super cool spot. Then Big E gets stretchered out of the arena.
Aww.
Super, super cool stuff, though. Really going to give Apollo Crews kind of some fire under him. I really enjoyed this.
And it's nice for Nakamura still getting a win.
Yeah, Naka's still got the win.
Yeah.
And Crews managed to prove himself here tonight. Really good stuff. Seth Rollins came out as Big E was being escorted to the back, still with his Burn It Down theme tune, which is nice to hear. Good to have it back. Essentially, he just kind of continued what he was saying about from last week, telling everyone to embrace the vision, and particularly warn Cesaro that he would feel the wrath of the Messiah going forward. He had his suit again was superb. He had a superb suit yet again. He got very much on suit form. We got a tag team match next up between the Riot Squad and Natalya and Tamina. Tamina was very dominant through this, but the Riot Squad eventually managed to get just to be working on Natalya. But then out came Billie Kay, and instead of being Riot Squad dressed up, she was wearing a Meaner Than Tamina t-shirt and wearing cat ears on her head. She comes out, it causes the distraction, and then Tamina gets the big victory over Liv Morgan to win. After the match, Billie Kay gets in the ring. She's excited to be like, yeah guys, come on. And then of course they take her out.
Of course.
They're not interested in having another member of the team. This was nothing, but
it's just a shame, a real tag team getting always the losses. The Riot Squad is such, I really like them.
Yeah.
I really, really like them. I think they're good. And it keeps annoying me that they keep taking losses after loss after loss.
Yeah, they do.
It's really annoying.
It's a shame. They deserve better than what they're getting.
Exactly.
And I don't know whether it's also a thing of the tag titles being on Raw.
Yeah.
Kind of separating it a little bit. But they should have just given the Riot Squad should have already been tag champions by now.
Yeah, exactly.
They shouldn't be in this position of getting beaten up.
Because even without Sonya, they're still incredible. Like...
Sarah, you mean?
Yes, sorry. Sarah Logan.
Yes.
Yeah. They're still incredible.
It's a shame. Next up, we had the huge return, the SmackDown huge return. We had the return of Ding Dong Hello, the good old talk show segment with Bayley, where everyone has to go through the door. Bayley comes out to start things up, introducing her guests for the night, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. Is there someone at the door? Yes, there is. It's Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. In they come, and then they start trash talking Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair after the weird segment from last week. This whole thing's a bit weird and confusing. Out comes Reginald, of course, Carmella's friend. I've forgotten what the word is now. Sommelier, that's the word. Surprisingly, Reginald comes out to the ring. And apparently I've missed this on SmackDown. Apparently I haven't been paying enough attention that he's now pretty much like infatuated with Sasha Banks.
Of course he is.
Yeah, so he comes out to the ring to go and speak up for Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. Sasha Banks comes out and essentially tells Reginald, hey, I can talk for myself. I'm a good person. And then kind of disses Bianca a little bit. Reginald, and then Bianca comes out and takes a little bit of exception to the comments about her. But then they ended up setting up a 6-man tag team match out of all this.
Oh.
Yeah. I can't, it was a little bit weird, the segment, which ended up with Nia, Shayna, and Bayley dressed up in her regular clothes in a turtleneck. Luckily, she was wearing leggings. She wasn't wearing jeans.
Yeah.
Leggings and a turtleneck with no shoes. Taking on Reginald, Sasha Banks, and Bianca Belair. So this is the segment that essentially is building this women's tag title match. So as the match is going on, they kind of start working on Banks, and then Reginald has to tag himself in. And he's in there with Nia Jax. He's not able to do a thing to her.
Of course.
Nia Jax has him up, holding him up to splash him down to the mat. Mm-hmm. But then Bianca and Banks come in, double drop kicks to Nia, hitting her down to the mat with Reginald on top of her. 1, 2, 3. They get the victory. Reginald has pinned one half of the women's tag team champions. Weird.
Just cause.
And this set up the women's tag team match that we're getting at Elimination Chamber. It was just weird. It's odd. This is an odd way to be kind of...
Yeah, suddenly Reginald's so interested in Sasha and stuff and everything. It's just... Yeah.
I guess this has been going on for a few weeks, but I just haven't noticed it. But that's all commentary talked about.
I noticed the thing at the last pay-per-view when he kind of like saved Sasha.
Yeah.
And it's been going a little bit like that, but nothing like major that I noticed.
Hey ho, whatever. Backstage, Carmella is upset at Reginald, wondering why he went off and did something by himself and not being happy with him. He gives her a glass of wine. It's bad wine, and she's unhappy. She throws it in Reginald's face.
Oh.
So yes, that's why I'm assuming Carmella's going to get involved in this women's tag thing.
No, makes sense.
Who else is? There's no one else involved.
Yeah.
There's no one else around. Another weird segment, but with a bit more potential. For some reason, Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode are on commentary. They have Street Profits cups still, because we're still doing this for some reason. And the match was the Alpha Academy taking on the Rey and Dominic Mysterio.
Who's the Alpha Academy? Oh,
Chad and Otis.
Yes.
So this was odd. I'm excited for where this is going forward. I guess I'm excited where this is going, but it's weird. Dominic and Ray, they're kind of winning this. Then Chad Gable gets the tag into Otis. Rey Mysterio ends up getting in. Otis slams Ray to the mat. He slams him again into the mat. And then in comes Chad Gable to be like, yeah. Come on. Yeah, Otis, you're the best. You're the best, Otis. Otis goes like he's going to do it again. At which point the referee has already called for the bell because Chad Gable was in the ring too long when he wasn't supposed to be in the ring.
Oh.
Then Otis hits the move he was going to hit on Rey Mysterio, and then Chad's like, yeah, come on. You got this, Otis. You're the best, Otis. Holds his hands up. And then Otis encourages Otis to go up to the top rope to hit a diving splash on Rey Mysterio. And then Dominic had to help his poor dad, who was now in lots of pain after the attack from Otis. Yeah. So essentially, this was a really weird way to turn the Alpha Academy heel.
Yeah.
Which I'm not against. I'm not against like Otis and Chad being heels.
Yeah, no, not at all.
In the slightest. But it was a weird way to do it.
Like out of nowhere. Not out of nowhere, but like.
But in a 3-minute match, if that. Like, and the match getting thrown out because Chad Gable was standing in the ring
for too long when it wasn't happens all the time.
Yeah, and it's like, why not just make the DQ being like, because Otis wouldn't stop beating up on Rey Mysterio. Yeah. It still would have been out of nowhere, but at least that would have made more sense.
Or like if Otis took like Mysterio to the corner and hit him past the 5.
Yeah, past the 5 count. Yeah, that would make more sense.
That would make sense, and it would like be a valid.
And Chad could still be encouraging to do it.
Yeah,
and that's fine.
And that would be a valid count out.
Yeah, and then you just do the beat up post match, and that's a valid reason for the DQ. It was just odd with the even commentary didn't really know what to say.
No,
they seemed a little bit confused by it. But yeah, it's odd.
It is what it is.
It could have been executed better, but I'm still interested to see them going forward as heels. And then into our main event, 6-man tag team match, going into a little bit of a teaser for Elimination Chamber. Before this happened, though, we had a backstage segment with one of the teams, Kevin Owens, Daniel Bryan, and Cesaro. Daniel Bryan and Cesaro very excited for this match, but they see Kevin Owens and like, are you going to give us another stunner this week, Kevin?
Nah.
You're going to stunner us again? And they go through all the people that Kevin Owens has betrayed. They're like, yeah, like you betrayed your tag team partners before. You betrayed Sami Zayn multiple times. You betrayed some, I can't remember who else they said, but then they went like, and there was another major one who you betrayed. I can't remember, but I should probably get a list about this or something to give the tease of the Jericho turn-in. It was a good little segment. We get into the match, though. Kevin Owens, Daniel Bryan, and Cesaro versus Jey Uso, Corbin, and Sami Zayn in our main event.
Kevin and Sami in different teams.
I know. Kevin and Sami in the chamber together. It'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know whether if Kevin doesn't win the chamber, I'm interested to see how they're going to eliminate him from it. And that's what intrigues me. Because if it's Jey Uso, that just kind of feels like more of the same.
Yeah.
And then that kind of feels like we're setting up another Kevin Owens match. Maybe we get Zayn and Owens again. I don't really know. I'm intrigued. Anyway. The match was going down. Edge was out on commentary. Edge did a good job on commentary. Essentially spoiling his WrestleMania plans, though. Because he kept talking about how he has all these men he has the opportunity to fight, and he just kept talking about the Smackdown guys.
Of course.
And then commentary, Michael Cole had to keep going like, but it could also be Drew McIntyre. Or it could be any of them from his chamber, at which point Edge would go, yeah, AJ Styles. It could be AJ Styles. Or Randy Orton. But then he'd keep going back to the Smackdown stuff. But Edge did a really good job on commentary. I enjoyed him on commentary. This was a fun match between these guys, as you would expect. And it's great to see that this is kind of the SmackDown main event scene. It's like such good wrestling, such good wrestlers in this position. Bit of disagreements between the heel team, Jay and Kevin and Sami. Kevin. Spoilers. Corbin and Sami. No spoilers, I'm joking. They kind of had a lot of disagreements. Cesaro and Daniel Bryan going wild throughout this. Cesaro hitting multiple swings.
Nice.
Interestingly enough, Kevin Owens never tagged in during this match.
Oh.
Yeah.
What?
He never tagged in. It's interesting. Interesting storyline-wise, he never got tagged in. I don't know whether this was they didn't really mention it on commentary, as far as I could tell. But they didn't make a point camera-wise. But he never got tagged in. He was still in the corner at the end of the match. He never got tagged in. He did a few bits and bobs during the match to take people out on the outside.
But
he never got tagged in.
Being in the match.
Yeah, he was never officially in the match, which is interesting. Maybe we're teasing a Kevin heel turn? I don't know. I do not know, but it's interesting to see if they do something with this. But Daniel Bryan ends up getting Sami Zayn into the yes lock to tap him out. After the match, everyone started going. This was funny. So obviously they do the thing where like they have the celebration, then they have the replays, and then you go back to the celebration.
Yeah.
So you see Baron Corbin's on the outside. He was on the outside at the end of the match. We go in for the first celebration of Daniel Bryan. You see Baron Corbin roll into the ring.
Yeah.
And then they kind of have a little bit of a zoom out for a second, and Baron Corbin's just standing against the ropes like... I got here a bit early. And then they go back and they go into the replays. And then you go back into Daniel Bryan, close up and Daniel Bryan celebrating again. And then Baron Corbin sneaks attacks in from behind. It's like, the Baron's been there for ages. Why didn't he do this earlier? He was just standing there waiting. He was like, oh, let's get my breath back for a second and then I'll attack him. Okay, I'm fine now.
Yeah.
Baron Corbin hits the end of days onto Daniel Bryan. Everyone goes wild. It ends with Jey Uso hitting the super kick onto Kevin, I assume. Kevin or Cesaro. But then off commentary, Edge comes in, huge spear to Jey Uso. But then out of nowhere, Roman Reigns spear to Edge.
Wow.
Roman Reigns stands tall with the Universal Championship over Edge to end SmackDown.
Fair. Yeah.
So more my hypothesis for because apparently he's going to be making his decision at Elimination Chamber.
Oh.
So this will be the last thing on the podcast. My hypothesis for what's going to happen is that we're going to have the Raw Chamber is going to main event. So Roman's going to retain his championship earlier in the night.
Yeah.
The Raw Chamber's going to main event. Drew's going to be standing tall. Out comes Edge.
Yeah.
Edge is going to be making his way down the ring to go and congratulate Drew McIntyre and make his decision.
And do like the talk.
And as he's making his way down to the ring, Roman again spears him from out of nowhere. And then the actual final image of the pay-per-view once again is Roman standing over Edge with his championship.
Yeah.
And then, because I don't think it can be as simple as Edge just going, I choose you, Roman. I think Roman has to force Edge to choose him. Because Edge doesn't want to give Roman that main event. That's kind of what's been set up storyline-wise. Yeah. So Roman's going to have to he's going to have to force Edge. And I think that's the way that you keep this going.
It'd be cool if Roman Reigns forced him, like literally forced him, beat him up until Edge says that he's going to have a match with him. Put him in the key spear in and put him in the guillotine like he did with Kevin Owens, like he's been doing until Edge will admit and will say, I will give you the match. Yeah. And then you kind of have to, obviously then you have to build Edge back up, but Edge already has so much love behind him. I don't think it would be that much of an issue to do that. Yeah. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that one. But obviously we are very clearly building to Edge and Roman Reigns. Very, very clearly with all this stuff going on. But that is all for this week's edition of the Elite Takeover podcast. We will be back on Monday with our review of the Elimination Chamber.